Alright, what's going on, folks? So, as promised, this is going to be a film study on Jerwin Ancajas, probably the most technical fighter in Philippine boxing, because one thing you know about the Philippines, a lot of fighters aren't really that technical, but Ancajas is one of the ones who actually has great technical skills. So, let's get right into it. The first thing that I want to talk about is the jab inside the lead foot. Now, usually if you're a southpaw, you are taught to jab while you're stepping outside of the lead foot of your opponent. However, Ancajas is really good at jabbing while stepping inside the lead foot of his opponent. And we're gonna look at why he does that a whole lot. Okay, so right here, you're gonna see him jabbing inside the lead foot of his opponent as opposed to jabbing outside. And the reason why is because a lot of people overlook the fact that you have a lot of exit plans in store for you if you decide to step on the inside, okay? There is nothing wrong with stepping inside the lead foot of your opponent, other than the fact that it may put you on the path of the right hand. But there's a lot of ways to exit from this, okay? Number one, you can do a reverse pivot right here. So after you jab, you can do a reverse pivot with that rear foot. Number two, you can do what he did on the second example, which is to bend at the waist, which again might be dangerous, but we've all seen it time and time again from guys like Rigondeaux and with guys like Pernell Whitaker. They jab and then they bend at the waist, which is a really good way to defend yourself if you do step inside of the lead foot of your opponent. So you're gonna see it right here, another jab, boom, and then he's gonna bend at the waist, and then lean back again, step back. And then for this one, the second reason was because you can throw the left hand in a straighter fashion as opposed to throwing it across. When you step outside of the lead foot of your opponent, you're gonna have to throw the left hand across as opposed to throwing it straight and stiff, which is what Ancajas does all the time. Boom. So he throws it stiff, he throws it straight, and as a result, it's much faster and it doesn't require as much. It doesn't require you to reach as much. So if you look at Pacquiao, whenever he throws his left hands, he tends to overcommit to it, but Ancajas does a pretty good job of, again, boom, throwing the left hand without overcommitting on it, and then he gets back on balance pretty quickly. Second thing I want to talk about is the right hook over the top. So right here, what you're gonna see is that Ancajas will first lean on the front foot, and then he's gonna bait his opponent to throw a jab. He's gonna go over the top right here, and then like I said a while ago, he's gonna step inside the lead foot once again, as opposed to stepping outside of the lead foot, because that gives you a lot of exit plans in store. So right there, he does a regular pivot, although I would say that a reverse pivot will probably be more beneficial in that instance. Here he just decides to push off the head of his opponent, and then he pivots away after he throws his right hook. Okay, so let's see another one here. Again, keeping his guard up and keeping this high guard to bait his opponent to throw a jab, and then he slips inside of that jab, boom, and then by slipping inside of that jab, he can now throw the right hook over the top while staying away from the right hand of his opponent, okay? So this is a very awkward punch because he's stepping inside of the lead foot of his opponent, and not only that, he's taking a step forward as he throws the jack hook, which is not really necessary. A lot of times you can just throw the right hook over the top of the jab of your opponent without actually stepping in, but as you can see here, he takes an extra step forward, which makes the punch and which makes the angle much more awkward than it already is. So he takes a forward step with that right leg. So here we're gonna now look at the crouching bait into a right hook. So as you can see, he's gonna start with a crouch, lean forward on his right side, on his right knee, okay? And what this will bait his opponent to do is this will bait his opponent to throw the right hand. Why is that? Because the left side of the face is very open, and you can put a lot of leverage on that right hand if you're the orthodox fighter, okay? So that's what his opponent is gonna try to do here, but actually, I don't think he did it for this instance. Yeah, he didn't do it, he didn't fall for the bait, so good job on the part of his opponent. But really, this is a way for you to bait your opponent to throw a right hand, and then once they throw the right hand, their head will now be on the path for your right hook. Okay, so that's what Ancajas was trying to do here, but the problem was, instead of the right hand, his opponent actually threw a jab, okay, which disrupted that particular move or that particular attempt. So look at it again, he's gonna try to bait his opponent to throw the right hand, but instead of a right hand, it's the jab that actually came in, and it landed, even though it's not really that powerful. Alright, here it is again. He's gonna crouch down and then he's gonna bait his opponent to throw a right hand. And by right hand, I don't just mean right straight. I also mean right hook, right uppercut, whatever right hand there is. Okay, so here, this is gonna be a right uppercut, bam. And now look at the head of his opponent. The head of his opponent is now on the path for the right hook. Unfortunately, the right hook of Ancajas fell short in that particular instance. So the last one I want to talk about, and one thing that is really good for Ancajas, and I don't see this with a lot of fighters, is landing with the knuckles. It is so taught, it is so common, it is so cliche already, but a lot of people don't do it. That's why we have a lot of guys who end up throwing slaps today, as opposed to landing their punches with their knuckles. So let's see how exactly he does it. So, just look at this for yourself. He's gonna throw the hook short. Now this is the bait. He's gonna throw the hook short, and he throws it almost like he's trying to claw the face of his opponent. So if you look at my left hook video, my Naoya Inoue left hook secrets video, I did talk about this briefly, where I said instead of trying to follow it through, you want to try to peel the skin, and that's exactly what Ancajas does here. And the purpose of that is, number one, it makes the punch quicker. Number two, it enables you to follow through much more, as opposed to trying to push it, as opposed to trying to land the whole hand, okay? You don't need to land the whole hand. All you need to do is to land the knuckle. So as you can see here, it's a very tiny graze. Bam. It doesn't look like it landed, but it did. It did graze the face of his opponent. Okay, now let's look at a particular instance where it did land. Oh no, actually here it didn't land again. And as you can see, where is his right glove now? His right glove is all the way on his left waist. Bam. The reason why is because he followed it through so much, he attempted to land it with the knuckle so much, that it retracted all the way back to his opposite waist. Let's look at this last example here. Boom, he's gonna parry the right hand first with his opposite hand. 1, 2, and then 3. Look at the knuckles right there. Perfectly placed. He landed with the knuckles, threw it very short, but he landed it with the knuckles and he was able to follow that through much more. So I just want to pause it at the moment of impact. Look at that. No slapping, no landing with the wrist, no landing with the thumb, no landing with the edge of the fingers. It is landed on the knuckles. It is better to fall short than it is to overcook your punch. It is better to fall short on your punch than it is to throw it with your wrist or throw it with your palms. Okay, and that's what Ancajas is really good at practicing. He's mastered that art of landing his hooks with his knuckles. Now, are there a couple of consequences of this? Of course, there are a lot of times where his punches fall short because he tries so hard to land it with the knuckles, and that's what I would say about that. So that was it for this video. Quick video on Jerwin Ancajas, one of the best Filipino fighters at the moment, and also one of the most overlooked ones because he's not really getting the big fights that he deserves. So hopefully he can fight Kazuto Ioka soon, and that will really open a lot of gates for him. That was this. Subscribe if you're new, and I will see you guys soon. Peace out.